Bet you that guy's gonna say that they got different grass. 2 inches isn't gonna save you on this situation here. Whew, made that way more complicated than it needed to be. On the skid steer, he's putting a little bit of gravel along the edge of the sidewalk so he can drive down to get the rest of that fill. So we got to dig out these walkways to add a bunch of gravel and compact it. Let's see if he makes it. Oh, there you go. See? Perfect. And then the plan is to load it all into the mini dump here, the 550, and then I'll be taking it away just so we don't have to drive all the way around with the skid steer. These were all temporary walkways we put in here last winter before the sidewalk and all the stuff was done. Now these houses are all closed and most of them occupied. We have to remove these walkways because all these houses are getting interlock pathways here. So we're gonna have to remove this, dig out some of that contaminated gravel and some extra fill, bring in some new fresh gravel, compact it in layers, and then top it off with some finer gravel. I think some screening is what we have coming, just to do the sort of final leveling before the interlock, and then lay down the interlock. And then the last step would be all the grading and sodding. So that's kind of the plan here. Don't have any caution tape, but this will have to do for now. It's not going to be too much of a hazard. It's basically going to be the same thing, just missing the slab. So it'll still be gravel. Like, we're going to excavate and put gravel right back in. So it's just so they're sort of aware anyways. But yeah, caution tape might be a better idea. I'll have to bring some of that tomorrow. Okay, you can see here we got some walkways that are already complete. And we're just, like, this is what they look like when they're complete. Now we got to come back afterwards. Obviously it's wet, it's been raining today, but we got to come back and do the kind of final touch-ups here. So yeah, just once they're done, we've got to put these protections on the edges just to kind of stabilize the edges of the interlock, kind of holds everything in place. And we got Octavio installing those here now. On the first layer. Once this is compacted, we're going to add one more layer, compact that, level it out, and then put the more fines on there. So I've dug up all those walkways in the morning, and now we're off to do an afternoon float move. Alrighty, so we're here in the F550, and we are driving over to a site that is actually just right over there, where we did a bunch of houses in there. And I'm going to pick up a forklift, which is always the last thing to show up on the site, and the last thing to leave, obviously, because usually we use that for the grass. So once everything's prepared, like we're doing on the other site we just were at, getting things ready, interlock, usually it's like excavator, dozer, skid steers, that kind of stuff comes in first. Does all the dirt work, and then at the end usually we'll bring in the forklift, which we use to bring in all the sod skids and place all that. So we just wrapped up this site here. Probably in the neighborhood of about 100 houses. Roughly, give or take, I think it was a little over, a little under that. But anyways, it was a pretty decent sized project we wrapped up, and now we're going to be picking that up and bringing it over to the site where we're doing all that interlock there. And here we are. Any of you OG viewers of my videos will recall a video we did last year. It was called something like typical sodding operation or something, where we did all these boulevards here on both sides of the road, and that was right at the end of last year. It was probably like October, November when we did it. But before that, we actually did all these houses here as well, both sides of the road, all these houses up the street, and there's several islands of them. And now I'm about to go over this curve here. Let's see if we don't bottom out with the trailer. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, so we did a bunch of houses here this year. All like these houses right here, right in front of us. So this year the project was starting from here. You can see this island of houses, and we actually have some issues here. I can show you guys in a minute. We're gonna have to come back and redo, or sorry, not redo, we're gonna have to come back and complete some front lawns because there's major issues here with whoever designed the houses. Had a bunch of flaws here. You can see these steps, how they just don't meet the code. There's no way you're gonna be able to achieve a 3-to-1 slope and have less than or no more than 3 steps going up. So the way it is now, you got 3 steps plus 2 garden steps down to the driveway. We call those garden steps here. They're like the step on a slab. And basically you need to have maximum 3-to-1 down of slope, plus they want a flat area near the sidewalk, and it's just unachievable with the way that this house is. Like you can see, this one is the same, and then these are the ones that we managed to make work. Everything we made, we were able to make work. We kind of got done, and we completed them. This street here, it's not too bad. That one was a little tight, but whatever we could do, we did. Last year what we had to do is build a lot of retaining walls out of some pizza stone, like this one here, for example. This retaining wall we built, this is something we did last year, but they changed their mind. They didn't want to continue doing these. They're gonna actually try and do precast steps now instead. But like this grass we did this year, but that wall we did last year. So well, the grass is nice and green here. But essentially, yeah, it was several islands. So this was one island, and that's why I say I didn't actually count the houses. I don't know, we did 4 or 5 islands, and there's probably like 20 to 25 houses in every island. Like it was this island, this one. That's basically all the houses on this street here. See, if you look down that street, you'll see a lot of fronts that we got to come back and complete. And that's, again, same thing. Once they get the precast steps in, we'll have to come back to this site and complete those then. But yeah, so a lot of work we did here. And I think I made a mistake coming down here with the truck and trailer. This is gonna be interesting. Oh boy. That was tight. It's the kind of stuff you got to deal with here in subdivisions. I don't know, am I going to pass this guy's mirror? Oh, that's going to be tight. I don't know if you guys can even see or not. Ooh. Woo. Tight squeeze. Got through though. Okay, now we got to find the forklift and get loaded up. More tight squeezes, here we go. So here you can see where we ended off with the grass. I think there was another 2 or 3 fronts they could have done, but it's not a very big deal. We're just gonna come back and do those whenever we're back to do the remainder of the sod here. Just missing a few rolls. But yeah, one thing I can't stand is when people get new grass, everybody wants it, and then nobody wants to water it. You can see how much water this grass needs here. It's been laid, I think it was laid yesterday, and it looks like it barely seen a drop of water, if that. Like it's pretty much dry under there. I could see it's very lightly, basically moist, if you want to say that word. But I mean, for the most part, about 90% of this grass looks pretty good, so that's nice. But that's the one thing when you do mass residential work is that a lot of people don't like to water the grass. They all want it, but then they don't want to water it. And then we could see we're missing 3 backyards there too. So I guess we got like 3 houses basically that we got to come back and finish. So 3 backyards and the fronts of those. A lot of swales. This was like really intricate because you had, let's take a little look at this. So these houses here, all of them had so one side typically drained backwards, like at a high point, and then the other side would have to take that water and drain it forward. So you can see here the defined, I don't know if you can make it out or not in the video, maybe if I lower the camera, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but basically there's an apron or round swale in here, so that sheets water away from the building there and then out to the sides to the front. But on the other hand too, this lot here is draining back, so then you have a rear yard swale, so it'll catch this water, then drain, and then you have to have a stopper here, so the grade has to come up, channel it through there. So it's a lot of intricate work here. I mean, relatively typical of residential subdivision, but there's a lot of little swales and designs you got to do, especially when there's a substantial drop in the road. If you didn't have these stoppers here, what would end up happening is all this water would just keep rushing right down, and by the time you got to the end, you just have one big crater of water causing massive damage here. So it's very important to have these very, very well defined stoppers. You can maybe see, I don't know, it's very hard to tell on the camera probably, but comes up about 8 inches to a foot there on at least a good 8 inches anyways on that side. I bet you that guy's gonna say that they got different grass. The amount of times I laugh when people say we got different grass because ours is dead. It's like, no, I think your neighbor just put some water on, you guys forgot to, because all of a sudden you're brown, that guy's green, brown, green, huh, all came on the same tractor trailer. But anyways, here's one of the examples, one of the really bad ones. You guys can kind of make that like why there's no way of making a solution here, because we've already got a step on there. So even though that step is a little high, you could drop that 2 inches, but 2 inches isn't going to save you on this situation here. Hey, I'm sure everyone would like an extra 2 inches, but it won't work on this one here. And you have 3 steps already there, so this is just never going to pass. This is one of the worst ones. And then you're also very close to the sidewalk already. I think you might have maybe 2 to 3 feet where they want a good level 1 to 2 feet by the sidewalk, at least a foot minimum level for the snow plows in the winter to not hit things. So you want to come level a foot, and we're going to need to basically lower all of these down with some precast steps that they're going to have to install. Yeah, that's one of the worst ones, but all these are kind of missing that. And not to mention you're covering all the brick, and you can't get a 3-to-1 slope down to the swales in between the house. It's just way too drastic. So that's why they got to lower these down and put precast steps on them. Here we see a relatively nice line of backyards. Got one guy didn't do enough watering. Now he's got the sprinkler there now. Typical once it's brown. But you know what? All these guys are doing a pretty good job watering here. All these houses came up pretty nice and green. Everything's looking really good and lush everywhere where people actually watered. This is the second island over from the one we were first in, and then there's also that one and then another one, and it just kind of keeps going. But anyways, you get the gist of it. Now I'm gonna go load up this forklift and get out of here. Oh, we put stone in the middle of the houses because this is quick note. Stone in the middle of the houses because this is 6 feet, so anything usually depends on the builder, but the typical rule of thumb is 6 feet and down. Like under 6 feet for sure, you're going to be putting stone in between. Even some builders require 8 feet or even more than 8 feet, because realistically no grass is ever going to grow in there. It's just too shady. So it's better for them, better for us, better all around to just have stone in there. It looks cleaner too. Awkward. Let's try that again. locked in both wheels. Okay. Whew. Made that way more complicated than it needed to be. All right, the old girl's locked and loaded, nice and chained down, and we are ready to go off to the next site and get this one dropped off. Call her a day. Let's go. How about that for some genies and cherry picker things? 5 of them. Wow. All right, well, there's the forklift. Oh, actually, sorry, 6. There's another one. There's the forklift. She's all nice and dropped off. And we're ready for the next one. Hey, look, multicolor porter potties. So, very inclusive here. Anyone could choose whichever one you want. Oh, geez, another cherry picker. Holy, sick. These things are everywhere you look. And then we got our lineup of skid steers on this site. Got our little CTL 55 gal, TL 230 Takuchi, the 60XT. We had our Case 550H dozer here and our Hyundai 140 excavator. They both got moved this morning to another project. So yeah, again, those are the first ones usually on a site, along with the skid steers. These ones are here to finish up the grading now. It's just some little small fronts we got to do. So just some minor grading to finish up and then get sawed on this project. And yeah, all right, we'll catch you in the next one.